Hello everyone, Mama Do here. I do hope this reading finds you happy, healthy, content. So, for everyone that's invested in this reading, in this series that I'm starting up called Love from the Grave, going and asking for the energy of somebody who is deceased to come forward and ask questions and ask Spirit to guide us during the reading. Your card of affirmation for this reading is today. I feel optimistic today. I will see the beauty and goodness in the hearts of every person I interact with. Letting go of any negativity, letting go of any preconceived notions regarding the situation. Letting them drain from you. I, like many others regarding this death, have preconceived notions. But there's one thing I've noticed whenever Spirit leads me to do a reading on a person, many times it doesn't come out the way I'm expecting it to, because I'm expecting it to follow my preconceived notions. So let's talk about this person, alright? Wow, she's beautiful. Oh my goodness, is she ever beautiful. Her name is Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was a child actress, and she grew up with a set of parents who were both Russian born, who wanted to see her, especially her mother, achieve greatness on the screen. Alright? And she was good at it. Oh my gosh. I know many of you have seen many of her movies. She was born July 20th, 1938. She died at a very young age of 43. Her sun's sign is listed as Cancer. Hey, where'd that go? My Google just shut down. Hold on, now it wants to restore my pages. I don't know what happened there. Yes, restore my pages, please. There we go. She was also known by NATALIE because her parents were Russian immigrants. But she was actually born in San Francisco, California. She's 5'2", and I don't have a list for her weight. That's okay. It wasn't much. And she married Robert Wagner. She married him the first time in 1957 and divorced in 1962. Then she married Richard Gregson, 1969, and divorced in 1972. At which point she was kind of spinning on ice. And Robert left his wife and ran to her, and she was leaving her husband and running to Robert Wagner again, and they remarried. Lots of work there to marry, divorce, hook back up, and get married a second time. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, she had 2 daughters, Courtney and Natasha. Now, one of those daughters was born of Robert Wagner. The other one has Wagner's last name, but I understand actually her second husband's child. Natalie was pronounced deceased November 29, 1981, at Santa Catalina Island, California. And the cause of death is drowning, is what they say. Wow, she appeared in 56 movies in her career. Wow, that's awesome. But she was the little girl in Miracle on 34th Street. And I know you all remember that show. If you don't remember anything else from the Christmas holidays, right? She appeared in a lot. She was also the love interest. Oh, I just went totally blank on that one. Rebel Without a Cause. She was the love interest in the movie Rebel Without a Cause. But let's go back and talk about her death. And while we're doing so, let's see what the synopsis of this reading is. And you know what the synopsis is, right? Think about it as the little tidbit that gets you all the flavors in one bite. The butterfly. Hold on. Everything displays because of that Google closing. The butterfly. Relationship evolving in the next phase. Healing the inner child and growth. Mom. Somebody needed more space to spread their wings. A relationship was changing, it was transforming. It was no longer in that honeymoon phase anymore. It needed healing. So, Thanksgiving happened. 1981. And then Natalie, who was deathly terrified of dark waters. But with Robert Wagner, they own a boat. A yacht, actually. It's 60 foot long with several cabins. And they decided to go sailing. They invited a bunch of friends. Most of the people turned them down because the weather was going to be challenging that weekend. And they didn't want to be out there caught sailing in the weather. It was going to be cold and windy and rainy. So people was turning them down. Except for one person. That person was Christopher Watkins, who had been a previous co-star with Robert Wagner. And he was in the area, and he wasn't from the area. He said yes. So the only people that went was Natalie, Robert Wagner, and Chris. And the captain of the boat. I believe his name was Dennis. Dennis Davern. Let me see. Yeah, Dennis is his name. Okay. Oh, by the way, just so you know, the boat's name, the yacht, is called Splendor. Religious factors is the card of love, the card of romance. For this reason, for this reading. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and your spiritual path. That can also be cultural upbringing, the way you view the opposite sex, the way you view relationships based on how you were raised, or the environment around you. So, okay, here we go. So, earlier in the day, they had went to a restaurant. Actually, yes, earlier in the day, they had gone to a restaurant and had dinner. Doug's Harbor Reef in Catalina. Then they went back to the yacht for the evening. And the manager of the restaurant said, I was kind of worried about them because they were all floor intoxicated. I was hoping that they got back safely on the dinghy. But they did. They all four made it. But they didn't. Since they left the restaurant about 10:30 p.m. So we have a pretty good timeline going as to where they were at and what they were doing right before she drowns. Toxicology report released after Natalie Wood's death revealed that the actress had blood alcohol content of 0.14. I don't believe that says that she was drunk. It sounds like she wasn't feeling no pain, but she was still in a situation where she could think clearly. Then, the captain now, for 3 years, has been standing by his word, going against what he initially said that night. He says now, there was a very heated conversation. Robert Wagner, was walking after dinner with Chris, and Natalie was present for it. And that a wine bottle was thrown during that day. Robert Wagner threw a wine bottle, and Chris Watkins got up, went to his stateroom to avoid any further confrontation, and Natalie Wood got up and went to her stateroom for the same thing, to try to let Robert Wagner calm down. The Archangel card for this reading is creative writing. Yeah, there's been some creative writing in this story. Absolutely. Archangel Gabriel, make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or a pen, an article, or a book. I understand many people pen articles and books regarding these couple of days at sea for Natalie Wood. So what else happens at 11:05? All of a sudden, it gets quiet because Robert had followed Natalie into her stateroom, and there's all this screaming, but the music was turned up. But Dennis, the captain of the boat, of the yacht, could still make out what was being said. He heard the argument very plain and clear. And then suddenly there was silence. So, after a minute and a half of the silence, he comes out of where he's at to go look around. Make sure everybody's okay. Because he's hoping that they're now making up and everybody can have the rest of the night in peace. It's about 11:05. And he walks out and he sees Robert Wagner You see me here leaning against the back of the boat, facing the boat. He says, Natalie is missing. And tells the captain to check the entire boat for her. And he does just that. He comes back to Robert, where he reports that she's nowhere on board. She's nowhere on board. He can't find her. So, the dentist, the captain, tells Robert, let's turn on the searchlight so we can look for her in the water. And Robert tells him blatantly, no. Was that Robert Wagner voice? No, we're not going to do that. The dinghy is missing. And there's rumors that she was trying to tighten the dinghy because it was banging and disrupting her from resting. There's rumors that she was trying to get in it to leave. Finally, after having a long conversation with Robert Wagner, Dennis makes a ship-to-shore call. Robert Wagner makes the first ship-to-shore call at 1:30 a.m. And finally at 3:30 a.m., Dennis calls the Coast Guard to let them know that Natalie Wood has disappeared and cannot be located. So they come and they do a search. Natalie Wood is discovered a mile away, floating in the water, wearing her nightgown, a pair of wool socks, and a jacket. So at what point would you be trying to leave the boat in your nightgown and wool socks? We already know her alcohol level is not real high. We have a storyline. But what you don't know is about all the bruises on her body. All these fresh bruises on her ankles, on her knees, on her wrists that look very much like self-defense. That she was being held down, that someone was trying to restrain her, that somebody was preventing her from moving freely. It's not like it is the ropes from a dinghy. Those are very distinctive, the way that they're designed. These are a different type of bruises. This is like solid, bone against bone kind of thing. So, this is what I've asked Spirit to please bring forward the energy of Natalie Wood to tell us what happened that fateful night with her so scared of the water that she would end up drowning off of Catalina Island in California. So we start out with the Magician in reverse. Someone who wasn't thinking clearly, someone who had an ulterior motive, they had an agenda. The Knave of Pentacles, they really thought that they carried more weight than they actually did. The Knight of Cups, and the King of Wands. This person definitely saw themselves as, here, of course I have that pointed up somehow. Here we go. This person definitely saw themselves as a pretty boy. And that everybody should love them for exactly who they are. That they're the end all be all. Yeah. This person is one way with one group of people and one way with another group of people. Depending on if you're somebody they respect or somebody they feel like they need at the moment. Just to let you know that, okay? This has to do with the family unit, 10 of Cups, with the Queen of Swords. Somebody that didn't back down, a female, who doesn't back down from speaking her truth. Somebody who feels like she helps to empower herself and others by speaking out. And she's not worried about the bottom line. She's not worried about the dollar bill, the almighty dollar. That's not her bottom line. Her abundance doesn't come from her bank account or from her past. She wasn't having any affairs. She wasn't trying to have no affair. But things were very upside down, topsy-turvy with her lover. Things weren't right. There was a lot of jealousy here. And it was pointed at her. It was a reflection of how this person saw women. Particularly women who were with them. Or reminded them of another woman in their life that may have been less than faithful in her relationships. Knight of Swords in reverse. Trying to hold your tongue. Trying not to say anything to upset this person. Knowing that it's only going to keep blowing up and blowing up. Trying to avoid the Five of Wands, trying to avoid the fight, trying to avoid the problem. Don't want any more hitting, pushing, shoving, whether it's physically, emotionally, or mentally. Looking for the Ten of Pentacles. Looking to get it back on solid ground again. Wanting to bring this the abundance back to this relationship. So try not to speak out. Trying to be supportive. These are all Natalie's. The second row and the third row. This first row is describing the person that Natalie is with, which we all know is Robert. Robert, yeah. It don't surprise me that secretly Robert thinks he's hot shit. I should have known that already. But it's cool. The last line, this last line. Trying to remove the confusion. Trying to help them see everything clearly. Trying to get the truth out. Removing the stigma that this was an accident. That this kind, sweet, loving person dove into the waters by themselves, knowingly, basically, when they don't go towards dark waters. That's a lack of communication. Well, what that is Robert Wagner now refuses to have an interview with the police department. Yeah. They've been bringing up for 2 or 3 years now other people to interview again. And more witnesses that help identify people have come forward because other boats, that argument was so damn loud that people on other boats was listening to it. Okay? But he's saying, no, I got nothing else to say about it. But this is Catalina Police Department going forward with the information, continuing the investigation, recognizing that the autopsy report got it wrong. Could very well be that that doctor was paid off or scared into giving the diagnosis for death. But we don't do that anymore. We know we do better now. And that is exactly what these investigators are doing. They're interviewing people. And more information is coming forward. This is to protect the honor of Natalie Wood. Yes, it is causing a disturbance towards Robert. There was only 4 people on that boat. Only 2 people were in that stateroom. We're running out of people. Who assaulted Natalie Wood? Getting ready to bring charges. Getting ready to bring the coin to the court. This is the Knight of Pentacles. To bring the answers to the court. The captain will not feel like he's all alone. He has support from the investigators, the family. Robert Wagner is going to have to pay for this. The very last one is the 6 of Cups in reverse. And the 8 of Pentacles. Six of Cups in reverse. She wasn't cheating on him. She wasn't flirting with anybody else. He thought everybody was after Natalie. Well, yes, they were. They were. And that it was making him work too hard for what he wanted. But see, he only wanted Natalie, not because of who she was on the inside, but who her persona was. He was the hottest one in his studio, and he wanted the hottest female. I have questions. Spirit, did Robert Wagner throw Natalie Wood off of the ship, the yacht that night? Eight of Cups in reverse. Let me clarify that. Spirit, was Natalie Wood unconscious? Queen of Wands, that's Natalie. The Sun, she was not awake. Seven of Pentacles, she wasn't able to react to the situation at all. Death in reverse. That's another way of saying there was nothing, there was no way that she could help herself. And the Two of Wands, because she was removed from the boat. Let's see what the 8 is now. The 8 is him leaning back with his back against the back of the boat looking forward. Yeah, he had just gotten rid of her and was waiting for her to sink, not wanting Dennis too close to him at that point. Did Robert think he had killed Natalie? Is that why he threw her overboard? That he had gone too far this time? The Emperor, thinking he's hot shit. The King of Swords, he was striking her. And then the Six of Swords, meaning that he was looking for a way out of what he had done. And she was unconscious when she went overboard. That's why she didn't yell for help. But nobody heard her scream. Natalie, you could tell everybody one thing. What message would you like to give to all those invested in your reading? She gave us 4 cards. The Fool in reverse. Don't jump into anything without reading the fine print. Read the fine print. The 8 of Swords. You're not trapped. There's always another way out. If it's not a door, it's a damn window. The Star in reverse. Not all stars are above you. Not all stars are above you. Some of the stars are within you. And the Five of Swords. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't abandon your hopes and your desires. That really sounds like something that Natalie would say and encourage each and every one of you. That's really beautiful. Thank you. Alright, let's get the card of advice. No, let's get the most likely outcome of this reading. Three of Wands. They're going to continue with this investigation. They are. Because, see, they know where their boat is. They do. They know where their boat is. And people are talking now. They're no longer scared of Robert Wagner and his influence. Nope, they're not. Like, people are not scared of the Kennedys anymore. Nah, there's still a few scared of the Clintons. I'm not one of them, but there's a few. So, the Empress, I was so sorry I yawned. The Empress in reverse. Yeah, sometimes you gotta take down the ultra wealthy and hold them responsible for their actions. They cannot go around killing people and getting away with it. Just because you think that you're hot shit doesn't mean that you are. You put on your pants one leg at a time, just like the rest of us do. Therefore, when you commit a crime like this, you can go to jail, just like the rest of us do. I like to be at that courthouse cheering them on as they convict him when the time comes. So, thank you all for being a part of this reading. Oh, I almost forgot, Spirit. Spirit just reminded me to get the advice card. I think what got my attention is I hear a big device outside of my home. The ringmaster of scrutiny. Wow. Now, talk about, talk about hitting the nail on the head when it comes to this one. I'm going to hold this up as I read this to you, okay? The ringmaster of scrutiny is all about the details. Look closely, pay attention to the smallest element of what's being presented to you on your path. It's in these details, not the broad strokes, that you'll find the breathtaking beauty and perfection in what you observe. Your ally is on your side to point to the deeper meaning of what unfolds in your life. And he reminds you that every moment counts. Staying present in this perfect moment, observing the minute changes leads you to manifest your highest good and greatest desires. Grand gestures are far for other times. It's the smallest acts that really count now. So really focus on the little bitty details, because that's what's going to connect that timeline. That little bitty detail that it was a minute and a half or so after the screaming stopped that Dennis walked out of his area to the open part of the boat and saw Robert out there. He had just put her over the side. She was still thinking. She was still alive. And that's why he sent Dennis on the tour of the boat, basically, to see if he could find her anywhere. It was so that she would think more. People don't think quite as fast as they do in the movies. Those are, of course, just for the movies. Because otherwise, we're not going to sit there for 8 hours to watch that little 30-minute film, right? Alright. So, I'm going to do 2 more of these. Y'all let me know what y'all think about these. And if you have somebody you would like for me to read on, please submit their name either in the comments or in the email at PassionWaterTarot@gmail.com. And remember, go right down there and hit subscribe so you receive notifications when future readings are uploaded and available. I'll see you all soon with your next reading. Namaste.